Hi everybody, it's Chef Martin from the ThermoWorks BBQ Patio, and we're bringing the heat once again with Rusty Monson. Rusty, we're so glad to have you back. It's good to see you.
Hey, it's good to see you too. I'm glad to be back. We're just gonna do a brisket, hot and fast on a barrel. Kind of get a, if you guys don't have a lot of time, you don't wanna wait all night long and cook a brisket, this is how you do it. We're just gonna trim it down. Always keep your fat and always keep your meat. You can even freeze it if you want.
Just use all your trim.
And just use it all.
You paid for this brisket, may as well use it.
Yeah, right now. What I'm doing is I'm just trying to take all this like fat off the top. I am actually not terribly concerned to get it all off. I know a lot of people like to clean it really well. I am not one of those people. One thing I am gonna do, if you're not sitting down, you should, is I'm gonna take a big old chunk off. Every single fat strain is going to be a little different. So in this case, it's running this way. I cut here. Now I know when it's done cooking where I need to start slicing.
So you basically cut it perpendicular to the grain.
Yeah, right, so you want to cut against the grain, not with the grain, against the grain. If you cut with it, it's going to be mushy. If you cut against it, that's where you get that good piece. I'm going to put it into a barrel. You're going to be fat side down. You have to have a little bit of protection. So I go pretty good as far as getting it all off. Again, I'm keeping this stuff. This makes great tallow. Also, if you're gonna use this tallow for the brisket, which I generally do, I'm actually gonna put it in a pan in the smoke with it.
Oh, and just render it in the smoker.
And that way I get a good flavor off the tallow as well. And it will be ready for when I wrap it so I don't have to hold on to the tallow. Of course, if I have extras, I'm not complaining.
Right, yeah.
But sometimes you don't get a lot of fat off these and you just have enough to do one brisket. But, it's nice to put the fat back in the brisket. I feel like we're good there.
That's nice, yeah.
It's a little on the thicker side. Normally on another cooker, I might go a little bit thinner. But you also have to understand this is not gonna render that much. So the thinner you wanna go, the better. Again, I like a fattier brisket, so I'm gonna keep that. This one was a very lazy cow. All right. So we get into this fat and you can tell it's really, really mushy. That's gonna come off real easy, so I'm not gonna go any deeper there. I'm going to just stop right there because that's gonna come off just fine. I'll cut this cap and I think we're done here. It's a little piece right here. So again, I'll just put that fat in here. I'll put it in the smoker with it. I've already pre-done it this time, so we're not going to today, but that's what would happen. I'm gonna save that for some sausage this time because I'm making sausage this week. So I put a binder on these briskets, which I'm gonna use mustard here. You could actually use beef tallow if you have some. You could use oil of any kind, anything that will bind it together. Or if you're feeling sassy, you don't have to use anything. Just put it on. It's all on you. So I'm gonna flip this over. And again, just half and half salt and pepper.
Equal parts.
Equal parts. All right, so then I'm gonna get that as many places and many crevices as I possibly can to add flavor to it. And don't forget your edges. They need love too. All right, now that we're finished seasoning this, let me kind of run through the process of how this is going to work.
Okay.
We have the barrel at 300 degrees, which is a whole lot hotter than most people go. That's why it's called hot and fast. We're going to put a probe in the middle of this to 175 degrees. And the reason for that is that we want to get as much bark as we can before we wrap. I try to get it 175. Then we're going to wrap it in butcher paper and we're going to stick that probe back in to get to 200 on the dot. Now the 300 degrees is going to be carrying this brisket. It's going to be flying. So when we pull that, we're going to put that into a cooler wrapped in towels or an oven, and then we'll pull it out within a minimum of 4 hours. Then we pull it out when we're ready to eat it, but hopefully you get that within a minimum of 4 hours. And that's the process today.
So we're looking at 4 hours on the cooker. How many hours on the cooker?
So hopefully we'll get about 2-3 hours to get to 175.
Oh, really? Okay, great.
And that's all. And then when you wrap this thing, we're at 175 already. It's cooking. It's not going to take long. Hopefully 5-6 hours is your entire total cook.
That sounds like a great method. I'm excited. Let's get it on there. I'll get the lid for you.
Thank you. All right, so once that's in, I'm going to grab my probe. I'm going to stick that into the most meatiest part I can get to. I think we're at 46 degrees on that. That looks about right. And we're going to put the lid on. We're going to forget about this for about an hour.
Okay. All right, Rusty, our thermometer says 175.
Yep.
What happens next?
We'll put a little bit of beef tallow on here first. I got to tell you, this actually does work. Any kind of fat source you can put on your wrap just helps with the moisture of the brisket. And when you're resting it, this really comes into play. Makes it a lot better. All right, so when I wrap these, I want to try and get it all the way over and tucked in. I'm gonna keep this tight, and one of the reasons you want to keep this really tight, if not the biggest reason, is so when that fat doesn't just settle and lay there, it actually distributes itself across the whole brisket. And that way, it stays juicier that way and it doesn't settle to the bottom. So I don't wrap this a lot, so I'll just wrap it one time over. So now right now we're fat side up. And this is gonna be my barrier for the rest of the cook. Again, remember we're cooking hot and fast, so that all that heat's gonna be right here. So I wanna get a little bit of a barrier. And that.
So you have extra thick paper on the bottom there to be the barrier.
Okay, so I'm gonna put that probe right in the middle of the brisket. I'm gonna make sure I get this point where it says 175 or less. That's perfect.
Great.
We're gonna let that go until it's 200 degrees and we'll pull it off and we'll put it in our Cambro. We are at a 200 degree internal temp on this brisket, but you wanna double check, and right now we're gonna use the new ThermoPen 1 to do that, and Martin's gonna tell you a little bit about it.
So the ThermoPen 1, it's faster. It's 1 second readings. The difference between 2 and 3 seconds and 1 second doesn't sound like a lot on paper, but when you get this in your hand, it's incredibly different, isn't it, Rusty?
Yeah, I mean, using the one, before, it's fantastic, but this just sails, gets right to the point where I need to really quickly. And a competition barbecue cook like myself, it's really important to get those temps quicker and more accurate.
We had one already prepared that's been resting as long as we want that to rest. So this one's ready to go. And why is it that we need to make sure that it rests for a while? We got up to 200 degrees, we're letting it rest. Explain that.
So a lot of times when you're cooking hot and fast, those muscles seem to tense up and they push that moisture out, and sometimes they push it into the middle of the brisket. And so when you rest it, you're allowing those muscles to kind of untense themselves and that moisture to reinsert itself back into the brisket. And the longer you do that, the more moist it becomes. You get that moisture retention back. Hold it as long as you can, 4 hours at an absolute minimum.
Yeah.
If it drops below 140, you want to eat it or eat it, freeze it.
Just eat
Get
it.
rid of it. It's below the temperature, the danger zone, so you want to take care of that right away. But yeah, I'm ready to dig into this.
Let's get into it. I am, absolutely.
So that bark turned out really well. It's dark. That's why you want to go to 175 to really crisp that up as far as you can go. And usually that's 175. So we're gonna cut into this and make sure that it's nice and eat some actually.
We're gonna eat it.
Yeah, let's eat some. Okay. Oh, I'm gonna cut your finger off, sorry.
Worth it.
So this is your flat. This is what you want to see, is that moisture.
Great pull. Beautiful texture.
Mm-hmm.
Lovely.
That's really good.
Great flavor, very tender. Nice pull.
Mm-hmm. I love it. This is great. Texas style brisket for the win.
So Rusty, thank you so much for bringing this method to us and showing us how to do this. This has been a lot of fun and obviously delicious. So
Yeah.
really appreciate
Thanks
you
for
coming
having me.
out.
I appreciate it.
If you like what you've seen here, feel free to like and subscribe. Until next time though, thank you for joining us. And from the ThermoWorks BBQ Patio, I'm Chef Martin Earl. This is Rusty Monson. Happy cooking.
See you later.